HCAM programming is supported by our viewers, thank you, and by Phipps Insurance Agency, representing companies such as MapFree Insurance. Their family-owned independent agency is deeply rooted in the communities they serve and offer time-tested insurance products to fit individual needs. Since 1950, Phipps Insurance specializes in home, auto, business, condo, and renters insurance.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's edition of HCAM News. I'm HCAM News Director Tom Nappy, here to fill you in with what's happening in Hopkinton. On today's edition of HCAM News, Chuck Joseph talks about how Hopkinton came to be, and also former Fire Chief Ken Clark debuts his new podcast, plus much more. But first, we take you to the Battle of the Badges Dodgeball Tournament.
When we put it together, we thought we'd have 5 or 6 teams, or maybe a few more. We have 16 towns represented here today.
And again, we're hearing from Sharon Lisno and Mary McCleany, founders and directors at the Respite Center, and they're flanked by Wendy Sousa, assistant director and co-marathon coordinator for the Michael Lisno Respite Center.
Run for the Respite Center. But guys just don't run for us. You answer the call when we need the help, and that's something that we will always be forever grateful for. When you all show up at we absolutely are counting on you, and you've never. School won't let us. Okay. All right.
I would like to introduce this year's first responder that's running for us, Connor Sales. Last year, Marathon Day, Connor said to me, I think I want to run next year. So when it came time to perform the theme, I said, are you in? He's like, I don't know. So Johnny brought him down to the Respite Center. He went up to see our child program, our Birth to 3 program. One of the little kids wrapped his arms around Connor's neck. He looked at me and he goes, okay, I'm in. That was all that it took. And he's been volunteering once a week for us on his day off, just to come in and hang with us and play with us and have fun. And we're so excited to support him in his fundraising, and we're excited to see him Marathon Day. So thank you, Connor.
But a round.
Okay, we're underway. Game 1 of the 2025 Boston Marathon kickoff event, and I think we already have an illegal throw.
Yes, we did. He wasn't behind the live line.
Yep, got to touch back once you grab the ball. There's a block.
We're down to 1.
5-on-1, and he goes down.
Very quick round of dodgeball. That's how you take care of business right there.
The ones are easy to catch, so if you're going to miss, you want to kind of miss low.
It's harder for you to avoid a throw with your feet than with your hands. A juggling catch by Milford. Hopkins down to 3, I believe. Make it 4. I was screened.
Screened by that huge service dog.
Shots.
Milford got to be careful. They were bunched up there for a moment. You don't want to make too big a target. Several good blocks by the big Auburn guy, but he gets knocked out. The block did touch his hand, so he is out. Auburn down to 1. This could be a huge upset, guys.
Be a big comeback.
Oh.
Wow. And it is. Milford hangs on for the win, knocking down the heavily favored Auburn team.
Oh,
wow.
Leaned right
there.
into it.
Yeah. So Misfits down to their last player.
But all the balls.
Okay.
So 1-on-3.
He just knocked out one.
Shanks one.
Oh,
good.
Wow. That's quite a dive. He's got to get up.
Oh.
Can't recover.
That was some Matrix stuff there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Coming into effect again. Ball don't lie. They win once again.
Ladies and gentlemen, your police department dodgeball champions, Natick Police Department.
Natick
is the champion.
There you go. That was the great team.
Natick.
Congratulations to Natick.
Oh, they're saying he's out.
They're just firing
They're down to
ball
1.
after ball. Good jump. Uh-oh. That's a position you don't want to be in. You don't want to be backpedaling.
Making himself a small target.
Yep.
Took out somebody on the back line there, but he dropped the catch, and that's the game.
Tournament game over.
The 2025 Dodgeball Battle of the Badges Tournament, Natick Police Department.
So congratulations to the Natick Police Department. They survived everybody else, and they are your 2025 Battle of the Badges Dodgeball Tournament champions.
Longtime Hopkinton volunteer and member of the Chamber of Commerce, Tim Kilduff recently retired from the Chamber of Commerce. Tim was honored for his extensive service at a ceremony in January.
The irony was not lost to me, basically, as the anchor of our coverage on Channel 4, when I would throw to the truck and talk to Tim Kilduff about what's going on in the race, and you'd make something up about, I'm not sure you ever saw it, but you'd make it up and it sounded really good, and such and such has the lead, and they look like they're getting tired. How would you know? But that's all right. You sold it, and that's what television was all about, and you were great.
For over 30 years, Tim, you've dedicated yourself to the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce. I spent 15 of those 13 years working alongside you. For those 15 years, I can say without any doubt that Tim's contribution has been extraordinary.
It all came together, as Tim's projects often do, and in hindsight, while it was amazingly stressful, it was satisfying in the end. And as usual for a Tim project, it provided a benefit to the town, filling a void that others didn't even see existed.
Tim is a legend for our town. I am a big fan of what he does, his passion, his energy, his dedication for marathon, for our town. He's a great advocate for Hopkinton and a great example of community service, community leadership.
Thank you, Tim, for your long tenure with the Chamber of Commerce and for your partnership with the town of Hopkinton all these years. Really appreciated working with you, and best wishes for the future.
Going to miss your guidance and certainly your counsel. The biggest thing that I would take away has been your friendship and how much I appreciated having you as a friend. So thank you for all that you've done. I hope that you have a wonderful time pursuing the shovel in the ground at the new International Marathon Center, and I will look forward to seeing you soon, my friend.
Tim and others have put together a video to the song by Kenny Chesney, Back Where I Come From. And it was a really nice song, and the video was all the different pictures and sights and sounds of Hopkinton. And as I watched the video, I was thinking to myself, and I got a little tear in my eye, this is a beautiful video put together by Tim, again, doing something fabulous for the town. But every project in the video was something that Tim had his finger on.
I would suggest that without Tim, there would be no 26.2 Foundation. Without Tim, there would be no Stylianis Kirikiti statue near Western Nurseries. Without Tim, there would be no George V. Brown statue on the Common. There would be no Hoyt statue at Center School. There would be no soon-to-come Bobby Gibbs statue at the corner of Main and Hayden Row. We would not be sister cities with Marathon Greece or Xiamen China. We would have no Athens, Greece Marathon Eternal Flame installed at the police station. We would not have had that spectacular 2500th marathon celebration in 2010, and there would be no soon-to-come International Marathon Center, and there probably would not be even a Chamber of Commerce. So,
in recognition of your 30 years with the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce, your dedication to the Boston Marathon, your presidency of the 26.2 Marathon Foundation, and everything else Hopkinton Athletic Association related, we want to present you with this from the BAA in recognition of your service. Thank you so much.
But the vision of his 26.2 Foundation and the possibility of an International Marathon Center here in this town of Hopkinton is a vision that can definitely bring marathon in Greece closer to all of you, and therefore it's a vision worth exploring and supporting. Every end is a new beginning, Tim, thank you, and congratulations. Simeon Tigos, Consul General of Greece in Boston.
In recognition of your many years of service leading the Hopkinton Chamber of Commerce and your great impact on businesses and the entire community, and be it known further that the Mass Senate extends best wishes for continued success. And this citation is entered into this record of the Senate and signed by me as your state senator and by me as Senate President. Congratulations, and with the applause.
Tim, on behalf of the Hopkinton community, we thank you. Thank you for your decades of leadership, your vision, and for your unwavering dedication to our town. Your legacy is one of connection, growth, and above all, heart. We wish you all the best in your next chapter. Congratulations, and thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
View the entirety of the ceremony airing on HCAM or at our YouTube page.
We are going to take a quick time out. A whole lot more HCAM news ahead. Don't go anywhere.
HCAM is supported by our viewers. Thank you. And by the Hopkinton Independent newspaper and online news site. The newspaper reaches 100% of the homes and businesses in town, and the website is updated daily with exclusive Hopkinton content. Readers can receive a daily newsletter and breaking news alerts via email.
Bay Path may have outgrown its space, but not its mission. We need your help to build a new facility that matches our capabilities and dedication. Join us and help ensure we can continue to provide exceptional care and find loving homes for animals for years and years to come. Thank you.
Welcome back to HCAM News. Former Hopkinton Fire Chief Ken Clark has a new podcast called Hot Topics, talking about the topics that are hot in the community. Here's a look.
Former Hopkinton Fire Chief Ken Clark debuted his new podcast, Hot Topics, on HCAM. Ken explained what the podcast is about.
The primary scope of the Hot Topics podcast is to share fire and EMS experience from both still career working personnel and also from retired career personnel. And also there will be a really good mix of call personnel that will be in to help us as we move forward through the podcast. The podcast will be once a month at the beginning of the month. One thing I want to be upfront with is it's not the intent of this podcast to critique or Monday morning quarterback any calls made by incident commander or IC on any calls here. We're not here to do that, have questions come in or do that at all. This just is to share experiences relative to the fire and EMS service. As a quick background on me, I'm married to my wife, Marie, who was also a teacher, and I have 4 sons, Joe, Sean, Matthew, and Kyle. 2 dogs, one a 4-year-old Shepherd Ziva and a 3-year-old white golden named Luna. My background is 44 years of service with the town of Hopkinton Fire Department, and then I'm just up shy of 50 years with 2 other departments after I retired in January of 2016. I got the phone rang 3 times, and 2 I followed through on them. One was the town of Upton. Went there at the end of 16 from September to end of the year, December. And then in 2019, just as the COVID started, the phone rang and was asked to help the town of Berlin for 2 or 3 months, and it ended up to be just shy of 4 years. So that was an unbelievable experience. A smaller community, but a very energetic, a lot going on in it. And it was different in many, operationally, especially the amount of personnel you could draw on and the way the town was set up with no municipal water was a different ballgame up there.
His first guest was one of his 4 sons and select board member Joe Clark.
Like I had said, recently ran for being a fourth generation in Hopkinton doing this to the community service, ran for the Board of Selectmen. And Joe, could you just tell me some of the things, some of the surprises that you had in your initiation to the public service type to the town?
Yeah, I think the whole thing turned out to be a surprise in a lot of ways, right? It was uncharted territory for me, right? I haven't had the opportunity to be involved in the town, at any official capacity. And then, of course, getting into something like this, a lot of people consider it, politics. I'm not one of those people. I'm here to speak on this because I truly believed it's, community service, public service. And that's the reason I got involved. I saw some things in town over the last year or two that, just there was kind of a lack of leadership from our previous select board. And it just didn't instill a lot of confidence in the community. More and more people were complaining about things. So, it got to the point where I found myself complaining about things. And, if I'm complaining, then it's either time to do something or, shut up about it.
Yep.
And so I think the whole thing was kind of eye-opening, right? Especially, the initial onset of, because again, even though I don't consider it politics, you do have to campaign, right? It was, a contested election. I shouldn't say contested, a competitive election. So just going through that process was very interesting. How do we start it? And I think you were obviously a big part of that and how we got the message out through our connections. I would say we really went the grassroots style with the campaigning, which I think fits our family. It fits Hopkinton as well. So I think that whole process was definitely a bit of a surprise.
Be sure to catch Hot Topics airing on HCAM.
Chuck Joseph recently talked about how Hopkinton came to be what it is today. Here's a look.
England, and then somehow he gets hired by the Newfoundland Corporation. There's a corporation set up to go own Newfoundland, all right? And he hooks on with those guys, and he comes over, and they're fishing, and the fish is unbelievable. The cod industry back then, I have this vision of you throw a net in the water, you get a bunch of cod, go on shore, make friends with the local indigenous people, salt your fish, and go home. That's kind of what happened. All right, so there's communication and there's contact pre-1620 between the indigenous folks and the fishermen, mostly from the Basque region, and also the fur traders. So 1620 is not the first time. All right, there's a lot more going on, and it's not organized, and it's messy, and we don't really know everything that happened. Squantum, whose name was Tisquamit, ends up in Newfoundland, and I love the way they say this in these little narratives. They say, and he found his way to Maine. Yeah, how do you find your way to Maine when you're, all right, so anyway, he finds his way to Maine. And so he was kidnapped in 1614, and he doesn't get back to the New England, which he doesn't know is the New England, that's his home, in 1619.
The Metro West Symphony Orchestra recently performed in front of a large crowd. Here's a look. It's time to tell you about some happenings in town you should know about. Coming up on March 29th at 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. at the Hopkinton Town Common. It's the annual Friends of Hopkinton Family Fling. It'll be the 4th annual Family Fling Community Day. There'll be entertainment for all ages, including Kayla Daly playing songs from the 60s and 70s and Animal Adventures. There'll be free coffee, hot chocolate, and munchkins, and some delicious hot dogs, burgers from the Boy Scouts, plus much more at the 4th annual Family Fling Community Day at the Hopkinton Town Common, Saturday, March 29th, starting at 10 a.m. Upcoming town government meetings include on March 27th at 7 p.m. we'll have the school committee meeting. To view all upcoming town government meetings, head over to hcam.tv/gov, or for more information, you can head over to hopkintonma.gov. Believe it or not, we are out of time for this edition of HCAM News, but don't worry, next Wednesday at 6:30 p.m., we'll be back. For everyone at HCAM, I'm Tom Nappy. As always, we thank you for tuning in. Take care, enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll talk to you again soon. Goodbye, everybody.